It's what God gave you.
But, whatever makes you comfortable. Some women want natural hair. Some women want to keep their perm. I think women just want to look good and feel good.
That's the most important thing, is that you love exactly who you are and what you look like in the mirror.
Yes, I think we are in the midst of a natural hair movement as people are discovering their hair, discovering themselves, especially in 2013 or, the current era that we're in. There's a big movement, not just among blacks, but among everyone to be more natural. And with that, we have our segment of that movement, which is natural hair and learning to love and work with our natural hair.
The current hair movement. It feels like an evolution. I won't even say a revolution. It feels like an evolution. Like when you can look at major hair companies, and I hope I'm not misquoting, but like I want to say somebody told me recently Dark and Lovely was putting out products for natural hair. I'm not sure how true that is, if that's the company that I'm thinking of, but when you have major companies, hair companies that have invested in chemically treated hair for so long, and they're making their decisions now based on women deciding to wear their hair natural, that speaks volumes. And I don't think that it's so much a fad either. Like I think women are really actually journeying through experiences by, deciding for whatever reason, whether they're losing hair, whether they're tired of the costs, whatever, there's a major movement that women are going through on the inside.
Do you think we're undergoing a natural hair movement?
Yeah, and I think that it's also best to recognize that this isn't the first one, and that you have to look at our parents and our grandparents and understand that they wore afros too. And you have to know that you're not the first. So in that, I'm just saying that, we have a rich ancestry in it, but don't ego trip thinking that you're the first one.
I think that as I've watched it grow, it's gone from a topical sense, just in the sense of just hair, to now it's going to perspectives, it's going to opinions, it's melding over into the congregation of a community, becoming, unified through one specific thing, but that thing does not define the individuals that are part of it. A lot of the stuff that I at least see right now is when things come up politically, when things come up socially, usually those same questions that were, posed to a political forum are now being posed to a forum that was established on beauty or that was established on hair. And if we look around the curve and say where is this going, I think that the hair industry is recognizing the force that is happening with the movement of natural hair, and we see that in the change of the product shelves. We see sections for natural hair now in stores that never had natural hair products, or maybe didn't gear their products towards natural hair, and that shows that there's some buying power, but more so buying power leads to power overall in the sense of an opinion, of a stance. So I do think it is a movement, and I do think that it's something that will continue to grow over time.
So, do you think we're in a natural hair movement?
Absolutely, absolutely. We all over. I'll have to take a recent example of a celebrity made a comment about black hair being, and I'm not quoting it exactly, but at the end of the day, it was black hair is ugly. Black hair is not pretty. It's not as nice as silky straight hair. What was really amazing to me, what I loved, is seeing, truthfully, just the backlash from textured naturals standing up for themselves and saying, pick your words better. You need to be more aware. This is beautiful. You may not be aware, but you've been put on notice that it is beautiful. We're embracing it. We love it. Catch up. And that's for that reason, I'm very excited to see that it is a movement and has been for a long time. And then it's growing. It's getting bigger. It's a movement, but it's still relatively small.
It's like a Sankofa movement. You know what I mean? We're going back to where we come from, because they finding out, like, the other thing, like the FDA, when they introduced perms, there wasn't a lot of research done on it. So here we are now 40 years later, and we're seeing a lot of the backlash. So yeah, there is a movement with women going back to natural, as well as if you look at some of the ads now, Target, everybody, you've got the girl with the big loose curls and little girls with little, natural ringlets going around. So I would say there's a movement.
Because of the resources that we have right now with the internet and everyone having access to resources via their mobile phones, their iPads, their laptops, their desktops, you have so much more of a community aspect built around your hair, and you don't feel like you're doing anything on your own. So whereas where there were other trends in the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s, and they've come and gone, never has something like this happened around hair in this information age. And so I do believe that the reason why people stay with a particular program when they have a community behind them, if especially a healthy program such as wearing your natural hair, deciding not to use harsh chemicals on your hair, on your children's hair, and really embracing your natural beauty. We have so many women, so many images. It grows every day. So I think that it's a lifestyle change. We as Black women, as women of color, are finally realizing our natural beauty, and we have sisters who may not be blood, but we can share that experience with them.
A hair moment for me is, and I have several, was my aunt pressing out my hair when I was younger, and pressing it and pressing it and pressing it until like one side of my hair was completely like skewered. So I had like this not bald clean, but just this short patch. And then I had like an extreme amount of hair in other places, and it was ridiculous, and I had to get my hair cut off, and that was about age 8. So that was traumatic for me, and it happened over the summer. So going back to school with this low, boy cut was a big deal. So that's a hair moment for me. Having my hair braided on Sundays, washed, brushed, braided, and beaded. That's a warm, fuzzy moment for me. And I have a bunch of them just throughout When I first moved to Atlanta, doing natural hair, I could not give it away. I couldn't do it for free. I moved here in 2005, and what we're experiencing now in natural hair just did not exist. More black women are inclined to wear their natural hair now because they are suffering. I know there are women out there that, it's about choice and wanting to transition because of feeling better, because of health. Me as a stylist assessing it, I see more of women crossing over because of traumatic experiences with their hair. It's either thinning, it's extremely damaged, their scalp is damaged, so they're suffering from chemical effects. That's what's going on, for me anyway, in my world.
I decided to start this company because I went natural in 2005. I couldn't find many products that I thought worked for me at the price point that I wanted to pay for it. I always had a passion for entrepreneurship. I've always loved hair. And so during that time period when I was searching for products, someone introduced me to shea butter. And while I was studying at Georgia Tech, I was already the resident hairstylist on campus, so I became the resident mixologist. And I started mixing shea butter and coconut oil and discovered that I had a product. At that time, I was taking an African American entrepreneurship class, and I read Madam C.J. Walker's book, and it changed my whole perspective on starting my own empire. So that's when I realized that there was a need for these products, and there's a demand for it, and I had already come up with something that was starting to work. So I decided to begin formulating the products. In 2008, I created Cocoa Pearls, and we officially launched it in 2011. Yes, I definitely think it will last. I think with anything, because it's new and it's exciting, there's going to be a whole flock of people that come, and there will be a few people that will fall away. So I think overall, we have fallen such in love with ourselves. I think it's going to be hard for us to completely transition all the way back to being relaxed. This is not the first time that there's been a mass transition to natural. I mean, in the 70s, everyone wore an afro. But when the perm came out and the Jerry curl came out, it gave us a different perspective of how to wear our hair curly. But now that we know how to wear our hair curly in its natural state with different styles and pin-ups and locks and things like that, I absolutely believe that we're going to stay here. The industry will change over time, but I think most women are going to stay natural. Well, it's already affected society in a large way. African Americans are responsible for billions of dollars spent every single day. The beauty industry is a multi-billion-dollar beauty industry, and African American women spend a lot of money on their hair, and men. And so the industry has already caused companies who never would have thought to create products for women with curly hair to start doing so. There are all kinds of other products that are creating, companies that are creating accessories and different things just for our segment of the market. In addition to that, I feel like we're more aware, we're more conscious, we're more excited about who we are as a people. So I hope that we come together as a society and we start buying and spending more money within our communities, and more people feel empowered to be themselves and use their God-given gifts.
Being that I work in television and film, it has opened some doors actually. And when I came into the agent that I'm with now, they were pretty strict on hair. For television and film, they wanted things that were straight or European. And then for commercial, they wanted curly looks. And there's just not enough time in the day. So now I just kind of play with it. And it has opened doors. Hair is... it's important. I wouldn't say that it's very important. It's still an accessory. But a woman once said to me, she said, I guess I explained to her that I was having a rough time where my schedule got so busy I didn't have time to do what I wanted to do with my hair. So it would look rather unkept and crazy most days. And she said, girl, you don't, what did she say? She said, you wear your hair. Your hair doesn't wear you. And I said, well, what does that mean? She's like, you wear your hair just like you wear shoes, just like you wear skirts or you rock purses. You rock your hair like it's yours and it's natural. It's the way God wants you to have it. Go with it. So I think it's important, but it's still an accessory. Talking about hair is important to me because it helps me find better products. First of all, our hair is always changing. I think just like the chemistry in our bodies are changing. So it's almost like once you find something that works for your hair, 3 or 4 months later, with the environment and all these other things, other factors influencing your hair, you got to keep up. You got to find what works in the summertime, in the wintertime, seasonal changes and things like that, in correlation with whatever might be going on with your diet. It changes your hair. So when I talk, I open up a conversation with other people who have natural hair, whether it's my texture or something different. It gives me ideas on products to use and different hairstyles, and I think it helps everybody.
I wouldn't call myself a natural hair photographer, only because to define myself as that means that is all I do or the best that I do. I do shoot natural hair. Connection to natural hair is maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I was invited to a business to actually do a campaign for their store, and the store was Urban Villa, and they wanted to put images of their customers up on their walls, and literally that was my introduction. They serviced natural hair clientele through products. At that time, it really wasn't any place where you could actually get products and things of that nature in the store, like Walmart or CVS and places like that. So it was like the go-to place for natural hair products, and that's how I got introduced. My stance is that all shapes, forms, colors, hues are beautiful, and that they all have a place here in this world. Jazz Photo Naturals, which is a project that is geared towards not necessarily just hair, but also geared towards natural beauty. I love the natural hair movement that's happening, and that has been happening over time. We've seen it come out in different ways, but I definitely am more for the unified front of just natural hair, but also expanding it to natural beauty and self-esteem. I know a lot of times we think, well, when we think about community, we think about movement, we think, oh, we're trying to save the world. We're trying to, take this huge idea and process it or translate it to a big body of people. But I look at it more defined and more targeted to say, if nothing else, to help us lift our heads when we walk down the street, if nothing more, to show confidence in what we wear, to be comfortable in our own skin, and to be able to, state our own uniqueness without having to, feel like who's watching or who's judging.
I run Atlanta Natural Hair Care. We have an online network for people to utilize as a resource to learn about natural hair care, and we have a professionals association where we help stylists with their careers in education. Well, I've been asked a lot about my hair. People stop you in the streets when you have long locks and ask if you actually do hair. So I wanted to create a place where people could get the answers they were looking for and understand that I'm not an expert on hair. So I created AtlantaNaturalHair.com, a network where I could connect people to different bloggers and YouTube videos and different things that talk about natural hair. And as I did that, I found that not only am I not an expert, a lot of the people who were giving advice were not necessarily experts. So I went and interviewed a lot of people who did hair professionally and specialized in natural hair, and found that there was no professional association for those people, and not one in Atlanta at all. So I created Atlanta Natural Hair Care Professional. And we have different members. A lot of our members are hairstylists. Some of our members are bloggers. Each member, or not each member, but a lot of our members have their own websites. So their pages link back to their personal websites. So it's really a resource guide. We list events that are coming up in the Georgia area. We also have listings of salons that specialize in natural hair. My mother has been natural my whole life. She retired from the IRS. She's worked in corporate America. For her, this movement is very odd. She doesn't understand how it's new because she's been wearing her hair natural since she was in college. A lot of her peers probably were not, but in her workplace, she was one of the few Black women, and she was wearing her hair natural and had complete acceptance. I started my career in corporate America working in construction, and I started with natural hair and was able to get any job that I chose based on my credentials. I graduated from Georgia Tech and continued to do well in the construction architecture industry for 15 years, being natural. I was never professional, not natural, and I had great success as well.
I decided to go natural in 2002, and in the process of that, I kept meeting a lot of women who wanted to know how I got my hair that way. And I realized that there were just so many women who really didn't have the first step of knowing how to go natural, what to do once they were natural. And I just really, really want people to embrace their natural beauty. And I decided to create a brand that supported that and nurtured the needs of women who wanted to go natural. My stance on natural hair is that it's what God gave you. And I really, really believe that you should embrace what you have been given naturally. I want women to move away from this idea that natural hair is ugly or natural hair is not pretty. All of the ignorant comments that a lot of people make, especially unfortunately a lot of celebrities recently have made about natural hair, really, really shows how far we have to come from. I always tell people the struggle with natural hair runs deep. You know, it isn't just solved with a jar of product, but we really are nurturing souls here at Urban Bella. We're nurturing people's spirits. It's about truly embracing natural beauty. It's about embracing Black beauty and taking on new perceptions about Black being beautiful. I think for so long, Black women, we've pressed our hair out. We've done extensions. We've taken on more of a European idea of what's beautiful, and now we are taking on what we truly are, what we naturally are, and putting that out there and saying, hey world, this is me, this is who I am, and this is beautiful. Right now, women are really, really embracing not just natural hair, which is so beautiful, but when Black women are really embracing beauty as a whole, really taking in and really exploring and saying, hey, it isn't just natural hair, we're embracing our many, many different skin tones. We are expecting more of product companies. Even better than that, we're creating our own product companies that make everything from nail polish to lipsticks to, body care, everything. And with natural hair, it all just kind of runs together and flows together to say, hey, Black women have a voice, they have a lot of power. They're going to embrace that power with building their own companies and their own brands with products that really, really meet their needs.
Always. I mean, you just stated it, that it's about social, it's about political, and also it's about holistic living. You can't say natural hair without somehow mentioning something about the holistic movement. Natural hair, natural body, natural foods, all those things are a part of the United States as a whole. We're looking to do things greener. We're looking to be more healthy. And so even the women who may not have thought about having natural hair before say, okay, I want to have natural hair because I just don't want to put this chemical. They may not be looking at ancestors or, wanting to change something socially for Black women. All they're thinking about is, I don't want to put something in my body that's harmful. And she still wears that exact same straight style that she wore before, but she presses her hair.
I help women achieve what they see in their mind for their hair. You know, I also do a lot of, I guess you could say, healing for women who are transitioning, going back to natural. I don't like to say going natural, but going back to natural. So helping them appreciate that.
I really honestly think it's a choice. My mother kind of instilled two things in me. One, hair is an accessory in a sort of kind of way. And because she went from a Jerry curl to a TWA within a moment's notice, I really took that on. So for me in particular, I love the culture of natural hair and the type of woman that I service. But if whatever other type of hair that you want to have float your boat and find your lost remote, like, I'm so for you. I am.
Some of my biggest challenges are women who are transitioning, helping them to understand that, again, they're not going natural, they're going back natural, and understanding spiritually that, you know, the hair that the Creator put inside you, it's not a mistake. So it's going to be beautiful.
And all over the world, women and hair, even if you're in Thailand, there's identity there of beauty and of a certain standard of beauty according to your culture. I think the reason that it's a movement now, the same way it was a movement in the 60s, is because we're wanting to claim and define our own standard of beauty in America instead of being shoved into something that feels uncomfortable or is unhealthy for us.
We're, I guess, what they call millennials. And we're very accustomed to using the internet to figure out everything. I mean, if there's a question we don't know, it's like, go Google it. We're accustomed to that, and we went to technical school. So we met at Georgia Tech, but Chanel also went on to North Carolina A&T and started at Clark Atlanta. So we are already, it's like a rule of thumb to use the internet to find resources that you need. However, when it comes to resources on black hair care and natural hair in particular, everything was just scattered across the web. I mean, you have blogs, forums, YouTube pages, social media accounts. I mean, it was too difficult to figure out who I should follow, if what they're saying applies to me. And then you have the hair products, their websites, their product reviews, and it's very time consuming. And you get confused about, you know, what is applicable to me and my hair texture. And so the internet was definitely an avenue to find things, but we felt that there was a huge opportunity to make it a simpler process and cater to women's personalized need for hair. Currently, we have a mobile platform. It is a mixture of mobile and web technologies to run the mobile app that allows women to discover new hairstyles, products, and local stylists in their area.
First of all, the internet is how we find out everything. Before we make any major decision, we are likely to go on the internet and look it up first. I mean, that's from anything. Let's even beyond your hair. If you find out about a guy you like, you're probably going to go on the internet and Google him and try to find him on Facebook. So the internet definitely impacts women's decisions to go natural because you can see it. It's in your face. I'll admit, I went natural a couple of times before now. And when I went natural back in 2004, the first time, there was none of this stuff that was out there. And it was very frustrating because I didn't know what products to use. And I didn't know that there were other women who were going natural. I just was like, Black power, I'm going to go natural. It is what it is. But I didn't stay a natural. I ended up relaxing my hair and trying other styles. So now that there's the internet and you can kind of see this mass movement of women doing the same thing, you feel like you can do it too. So the second time around when I went natural, before I cut my hair off, I went on YouTube. I Googled natural hair and I stayed up for like hours and hours to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just looking at natural hair videos, products, This was probably back in 2010. And I was like, oh my goodness, this has changed so much in the past 5 years. I watched people get big chops. I was like, well, I'm going to get me a big chop. I watched Natural Chica get her big chop. That was inspiration. And so now you kind of have like this sisterhood of women who are all changing their hairstyles and their lifestyles to go natural. And it's like you don't even have to, they don't have to be your friend or your mom or your sister. They could be, someone in a whole nother state, in a whole nother country, and you still feel like you're connected to them.
Well, if my hairstyle is keeping me from the opportunities, then the opportunity wasn't the one for me. So that's kind of how I look at it. People will judge you based off of a lot of things, beyond just your hair. Now, when people interact with you and they pass judgment as it does relate to your hair, I mean, I really feel like that's very unfortunate. But again, it's not something that I internalize because, again, I just feel as though there is something that person is trying to get to. And maybe I can provide some type of insight. Maybe it'll open a door for me. Maybe it won't. But again, I believe that the confidence about who you are and whatever hairstyle you decide to rock is solely up to you. It's about the integrity of the person. Because you can, quote unquote, be natural all day and still not really be socially aware of all that is happening around you and conscious to everything that's happening around you, or feel that it's even your plight to feel as though you're making a statement on behalf of whomever. I think sometimes it just comes down to the individual and who they are and what they represent. I think Black women should wear their hair however they want to. I would say go natural, absolutely, because there's so much that you can do with your hair, natural, and you would, no one would ever know. Now, of course, they would know once it starts raining or there's a little humidity. A little weather change could change everything up. But for the most part, I think Black women, whatever makes you happy, whatever you're comfortable with, that's how you should rock your hair. Well, I would say that a lot of women are choosing to go natural these days. Like I said, there's a lot in the advertising media world now that seems to be a little bit more accepting of African Americans in their natural hair. I believe with a lot of things, sometimes it really just comes down to maintenance. People just want to know, okay, look, if I bring you on board or you're doing something with me, you have a clean, professional look. That does not mean that you cannot have a natural. It just means that people want you to look professional, which means that you should keep yourself together.
What made me decide to start Natural Girls Rock as an organization was the struggle that I went through when I decided to go natural, wondering, am I going to be accepted at work? Am I going to be accepted in society with my look? And just the internal struggle that I went through, I came to know, wait a minute, Natural Girls Rock too, not just because my hair is straight is not the only way that I rock. I can rock with my hair straight or curly, and that's how I came up with Natural Girls Rock. I absolutely think the movement will last as we move towards educating moms that will educate their young girls as they come up. They won't start getting perms at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And once those girls don't feel like they need to get relaxers, then they will train their children up in that, knowing that as well. I see it affecting society in a way that everyone will know. Once corporate America starts to accept it, everyone will know as a whole that this is how our hair is. It won't be just a couple of people wearing their hair curly or kinky or what have you. It would be more and more people. And once there's more people wearing the hair like that, society won't have a choice but to accept it is what it is. This is what God gave us, and we rock.
It's very important. It's important to express yourself freely. It's important to be able to express yourself how you want to, and to be accepted, and to truly be happy with who you are. Yes, most of my life I have been judged by my hair. Once again, growing up in a cultural environment in the 80s and 90s, growing up with very kinky natural hair, when it wasn't acceptable, kind of made me not want to be that way and not accept it because it wasn't normal. But as I grew up, I've very much come to accept it and to love it. And I do welcome any criticism, but it's not going to change who I am. As a child, I've had locks. I've had my hair locked ever since I could remember, from maybe the age of 2 to the age of 19. So that's my whole childhood and pre-adulthood has been kinky. So when I was at the age to make the decision about my hair, I decided to cut it and go and explore different hairstyles and different looks. But I always ended up going back to my natural state. So my parents and my sisters and brothers, friends, family, everybody has really influenced me. But it seems easier and more comfortable to be natural. I had to grow into loving my hair, which in turn loving myself. I grew up in a cultural environment in the South where the two really didn't mix in the 80s and the 90s. We were, as young children growing up with locks, we were teased and talked about. So I really have become very proud of where and how I was raised, and it has made me the very strong woman that I am today, and that I can pass it on to my daughter as well, the values of being true to yourself and loving yourself.
So Dress Free is a platform, an open forum performance series of sorts that travels from salon to salon and broaches various topics for the purpose of empowerment and education and building self-esteem. But the platform is all focused on hair.
Just to kick this whole thing off, I'm going to ask a question, and this is an interactive event, so please feel free, comment, question, speak your mind, because that's what Dress Free is all about. So with this decision that Hampton's Business School made recently about banning locks and cornrows, now I know that part of their intention was probably to make sure that they prepared their students for corporate America, for the business world. And I know that in the Black community, there has been this issue that comes up from time to time about different things that set us back. Do you all know what I'm talking about when I say setting Black people back, setting the race back? So my question is, I want to know, do you all feel like this type of decision would be one that would propel Black people in corporate America forward? Or is this a decision that does, in a way, set us back? The floor is open.
I have been judged based on my hair. I remember when I was in nursing school, I decided to lock my hair. And this was before locks were really popular. And I remember one of my instructors coming to me and actually asking me what I was going to do when it was time to go to clinicals, in the hospital. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, what are you going to do with your hair? Because that's not professional. Now, mind you, my hair was always washed. It was groomed. I kept my locks twisted. I was always maintaining my hair. But she felt like I wasn't professional. I went to an HBCU, by the way. But, most of the judgment is not that overt. You know, a lot of it is judgment that can be felt just kind of in the room sometimes, and how people look at you based on what your hair looks like. But I don't know, I want to say immune to it because I've gone through so many different hair changes that I don't always pick up on it as quick as I used to. You know, it's about being able to show up as one's authentic self. And what I mean when I say that, you know, when you look at corporate America, can you think of any other ethnicity of people who have to alter their hair in order to be considered presentable or acceptable or professional? You know, you don't see other cultures going through the same thing that we go through. You know, the stories about women who will get their hair cornrowed or braided, but they have to wear a wig to work, you know, because cornrows are not allowed, or, you know, locks are not allowed, whatever the case may be. It's like nobody else goes through this. Everybody else can wear their hair exactly as it grows out of their scalp and not feel the pressure to alter it for any reason unless they just choose to. And they don't have to worry about whatever type of environment that they're in. They're accepted. So this is about being able to show up just exactly as we are, you know, and there being room for us to exist just like that.